let's see if that works. The stream is offline. Oh.
I feel like it's close. Hello.
See, I don't know if I've been live this whole time.
Now it's saying it's offline.
Yeah, give it a second. I can show you.
Optional features you can use. Streaming this podcast on my channel, How to Do Your 20's. If you go to my channel, you should see it. Hey everyone, that's not on Snapchat right now. I have no idea what we're doing. We're live streaming episode 100 of the How to Do Your 20's podcast, which you may have seen different episodes or heard them. I've uploaded a few of these onto here. It's Travis's podcast that I've been on. You know, it's weird seeing all of them. It's like
a bunch of video screens going on.
Yeah. Okay. One last little Snapchat. That's it. I'm going to send that to some people. And I have Rick Astley stuck in my head. Okay. And we are ready to go. All right.
All right, this is episode 100 of the How to Do Your 20's podcast. I got Jordan back on. He's been a repeat guest. We're live streaming this for anyone that, obviously you're not able to watch this. It'll be on the How to Do Your 20's YouTube channel. And what is the J Herbs?
J Herbs, JAYURBZZ.
So this podcast episode will be a recap of the last 100 episodes, but it'll also just be me and Jordan kind of going off on tangents. Probably do a little recap of the last few years, what we've been up to. So let's start off. Jordan, how have you been?
Wait, good. Well, I have a question real quick.
Sure.
That first episode I was on, what number was that?
I think it was like 13. I'll look that up.
Are we going to go through that when we go through all 100?
Yeah, I just want to, it's not going to be a one by one, we're going to go over it, but as we're talking, I might, if we come to a blank point or something, or
okay.
for some reason, yeah.
One thing I really like about having followed, I've listened to a few of your podcasts. I don't listen to many. I don't really listen to podcasts in general. Joe Rogan tickles my fancy often enough, but that's about it. But I have listened to a few of yours, and I've enjoyed just sharing my story of where I've been and, like, thinking about that first one, like, what, almost 3 years ago?
Yeah.
Yeah, like 2.5 years ago.
So I started the podcast, I was in Medellin. I was living in Medellin, Colombia. I think I had you on not too much longer after that.
Yeah, you were in there.
Was it still?
Yeah, you were there.
When I interviewed you?
I was in Bali and you were in Medellin.
Yeah. Medellin's how you properly pronounce it. But I always... was that?
Yeah, but no, some Spanish accents you go j.
Yeah.
For the double L. Other times it's just silent, right?
Yeah, there they say Medellin. But anyways, yeah, let's talk about... obviously, you haven't been on the podcast in a little while, so I want to give an update of what you've been up to in the last few months. I've
more or less been moving to Hawaii, which was not the intention when I saw you last. So we were here, I saw you about 3.5, 4 months ago, right? And I was kind of looking to, like, move to LA. Like, I'm 29, and I'm, like, ready to... Basically, I've said by the time I'm 30, I'm going to, like, have somewhere I call home, start, like, making a family, whether that's with kids or just with a partner, I don't know. Have a routine. Basically, just a routine is what I really want to get shit done. But, so I was looking at LA as being that place based on, like, it's kind of where I come from. I've got a network here. It's a good place for entertainment. And I also think it's one of the most progressive places on the planet in all spheres. So where I've been spending time with on the big island of Hawaii, I think that's the most progressive place on, like, a spiritual level. I hate saying that. But, like, in, like, a freedom of expression zone. Like, it's one of the, when I was saying, it's one of the it's one of the coolest places I think that's on the planet, on the Big Island, because it literally there's so much space for you to be free and express yourself however you want. But yeah, this LA though has like the entertainment, the technology, the yoga, the people meditating and doing kirtan. So LA is really cool. And so yeah, like 3 months ago, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go to Hawaii for a few weeks, and then I'm gonna come back. My plans were canceled on me. Plans being a woman, canceled on me like a few days before I left. So I didn't know what I was gonna do, where I was gonna stay. So I rented a Jeep, a 4x4. They ended up giving it to me for the same price as a normal car. So I lived in a Jeep for 2 weeks, and I just YOLO'd around, started a business, met my like soulmate business partner that I'd been like calling out to the universe to meet. Anyway, I don't know how much you want me to talk about this right now, but yeah, I ended up being there for 3 months, only leaving because I had some commitments here that will provide for me monetarily, and also I'm planting some fruit trees and avocados at my parents' house because I want them to be prepared in case food isn't as simple to go purchase at the grocery store all of a sudden. So yeah, I came back for that, and then also I'm embarking on a world tour with this new project of mine. But it was like I was totally just like at home in Hawaii. I had gigs, people paying me to do videos. I had a whole crew and network. I was all like the greatest friends I'd ever made. I felt like I had like a tribe and a family, like for the first time ever. So like 3 months ago, I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna figure it out in LA. I'm gonna figure it out with money in so expensive town and not having a car and the fucking traffic and the fucking stuck up people that I don't enjoy being around. Like I was really trying to like get into something that would have a lot of tension.
Yeah.
So Hawaii made me realize like, yeah, that's not really for me. So I do love LA still, and I love a lot of you people in it. But yeah, I don't think I'm meant to have a 24/7 home base here.
Let's talk about. I mean, since the first episode, so that was what let's say 3 years ago, or whatever it was, or maybe it was 2 years ago. How have you changed, and like what kind of lessons have you learned?
I've learned a lot, but I was thinking if you want to do this 100 episode thing, maybe we could throw in anecdotes as we go through your topics.
Okay.
Because I was almost thinking like, you know, the stuff you talk about, there's a lot of lessons to be learned in there. Like I learned a few lessons by listening to some of your podcasts.
Really?
Like those different entrepreneurs.
Okay.
And there was like the blogger, was it relationships or the erotic? I was in India, I remember, lying on my bed trying to escape the traffic that was all outside, and I just remember that it was.
So I'll go through and I'll read some of them, and then we can go there. So one of the first episodes, actually, one of the episodes I was really happy with. So for the first episode 0 was my story, but then after that, I did an episode, should you give away all your possessions and become a monk? And I had a guy, basically that's what he did. That's still one of my favorite episodes, because it was just really interesting hearing him talk about, here's someone that, I've had this idea, and I mean, you're kind of living this idea now, but I've had this idea of, do I want to give away everything and just like, I don't need possessions and I should just, you know, I don't know, go be a monk somewhere. I mean, and talking with him is like, it's not as great as you might think it is. I don't know. Any thoughts?
So really synchronistic kind of fun story. I was just on I went to 3 islands in Hawaii the last 3 months, and I went to the third one, Kauai, because I had bumped into someone on the Big Island that I had met in India 3 years ago. I had met this dude, and I actually interviewed him for this film I was working on at this yoga academy. And there I saw him on the Big Island, just walking down. I was like, wait a minute, are you Avi? He's like, yeah. I'm like, I met you in India. He's like, no way, I'm living on Kauai now. I'm starting a yoga studio. So long story short, he needed video work done. So I came out to his island to work with him. Anyway, he had been a monk for 10 years.
Wow.
Yeah, and he would say the same thing. It's not all it's going to be.
I think the realization I personally came to, at least, is I won't, as I get older, let's say like I'm 90, 100, my hope is still to be 112, for reasons I'll get into another time. But anyways, as I get older, I wouldn't mind giving away my possessions and actually kind of secluding myself and trying to attain inner peace. But I think the easiest way to do that is, instead of just hiding in a cave, like right now I'm 28, instead of giving away everything, going in a cave and meditating and realizing I don't need anything, I think the better way of doing it is to get the stuff and then realize I don't need it. And I know that's probably not the most...
Right. Well, okay, so you asking me what I've been doing the last 3 years, and then that's the first episode. Should you become a monk? Well, That's kind of who I've been for a long time, just in my own way. Like, I feel the more I learn about, I don't know, Hinduism and different old ancient ancestral, like, traditions, I guess is the only way to put it. But, there's different phases of life where you're meant to learn, where you're meant to accomplish, and then where you're meant to, like, let go, maybe. And I think in our culture, in Western culture, that letting go is retiring. Mm-hmm. But you're still holding on to a lot. Yeah. Like your pension, your house, this and that. But you're letting go of the stress of working. In like Hindu culture, in some sects of it, letting go would be, you already raised a family, you already, your kids are grown up, you've succeeded in your business or whatever, so you let it all go and you become a monk. Yeah. But there's other paths where you do that at a young age to gain enlightenment. So you go meditate in a cave or go do yoga in an ashram and have a guru, like a spiritual master that you learn from and you're devoted to because you're learning from them. And there are people that do that for a long time. But the point is not to do that forever. The point is to do that to gain some illumination on what life is for you and who you are, to then return to the world and kind of share that light, share that love. Because if you don't know who you are, like, and you don't love yourself, how are you going to love anyone else?
And what you're talking about with the sects of Hinduism, that was a big thing I heard. Might have heard it from, I don't remember where I heard. I think I was actually studying Hinduism because I was going to do a YouTube channel where I talk about different religions and just a bunch of different topics. I actually do have a video if anybody wants to watch it. It's Learn It in 10, and the first video was Western Philosophy in 10 minutes. So anyways, one of the videos...
What channel is that on?
It's a channel called Learn It in 10. That was the only video I ever did. Okay. It got like 40,000 views, and my channel has, I don't know, almost 1,000 subscribers, but I ended up stopping it because it was way more work. But one of the videos I did that I ended up filming, and it ended up being blurry, it was out of focus the entire time, was this religion channel. And in studying Hinduism, at least what I read, was there's 4 different parts of life. The first part, you're supposed to learn as much as possible, and it's all about learning. And then the second part is all about raising a family. This third part, I forget exactly the details, but it was like an in-between phase.
And you let it go.
Yeah, and then the 4th phase is be a monk, basically, or whatever.
That's like what we were talking about earlier, like the Ayurvedic phases of life. That's the same thing. Your Vata, Pitta, Kapha. That Kapha is when you let it all go. You're like, not meant to have it anymore, so to speak. For me, though, so I brought that up because the way I've been going about it, and the way I think the new way of going about it, if we really want to apply what we've learned from Eastern religions and apply it to us as Westerners, take that back. Apply it to us as a new species of East and West, because we're a globalizing species. Apply the West and the East. And the West way, I think, is how I've been doing it. I've been literally vagabonding around in different forms of artistry, in different forms of traveling, of relating with people, of how I spend my time, this and that, finding who I am, right? And I think this is a path many people take, and even in, that's the path of the ascetic in India too, is you just drop it all and you go, you're on your spiritual path. So I've been doing that a little less consciously. I didn't really realize I was doing that, but I was doing it. And then finally I realized, okay, I think I figured it out. And I think I'm still in that, okay, I figured it out. Now how do I make it me? How do I come back into the world and make it me? And so that's what I'm doing now. And I feel like I'm right on track. I'm 29, 30 years old. And so now when I hit 30, it's like I'm gonna have a home. I'm gonna have a partner, a family, whatever that is, stability, a routine. And I'm gonna be who I'm meant to be now. And maybe I still will travel, but there's gonna be more of that foundation, because I'm past that airy stage of life, figuring out who I am, which I equivalate to that monk stage.
Yeah.
Just this new modern version of that.
Yeah. So I'm just going to read the next 9 episodes I do, and whatever spikes us, we'll that way we can go off on tangents. The next one was finding your purpose, passion, and work you'll love. We can talk about that. Making money with YouTube. That was a buddy of mine, Adam. That's a great episode, actually. Backpacking, couch surfing, living the nomadic lifestyle. That's episode 4. Yeah, you were early on.
Yeah.
That was
early
on.
Out, everyone.
Yeah.
I think I even put that on my channel. No, it's in a playlist on my channel.
Yeah. That was a good one. I'll just quickly read some more, and we can come back to this. becoming a digital nomad, your path to freedom.
Who was that with?
That was, I forget the guy's name. It was an acquaintance. Another podcast I do, the Build My Online Store podcast. This guy knew someone that was living in Medellin at the time, and so I reached out to him. He's got a website, and on his website he makes a ton of money from like just it's all digital nomad stuff. Like that was actually okay. So
Wait, he makes money as a digital nomad.
He has like
by digital nomads.
Partially, no. I mean, his main thing was that he told me, and he didn't get into too many specifics, but he has some kind of a travel company, like kind of like an Expedia, but he makes all his money off referrals, basically. And then he also has like a pretty famous, I'll have to look up the name of it, but like within the digital nomad community, a famous digital nomad blog. I think might be Nomadic Notes. That might be someone else though. Actually, you know, I'm gonna pause here for a second because this kind of gets me off on a tangent. It was interesting talking to him because he loved being a digital nomad. He loved traveling around, and as we've talked about on past episodes, I enjoy traveling, but I'm not a nomad. I'm just not. I'm actually, it's something I've been thinking a lot about. I'm a farmer. Like, I don't
really,
in the sense of I like planning. I like figuring things out, and like my brain, the way it's calibrated is much more towards farming. I also, don't get me wrong, I want to go hunting, and that's another side tangent. But I think that my dad, for instance, and Jordan, you know, obviously know my dad. He would have been the best hunter, like back in caveman days. He would have been like the best hunter, and you know what? I would have been a decent hunter, but I would have been the one that figured out farming, and that's how I always thought about the two of us. Like he would have been the one that's like, what? You're going to plant seeds in the ground and something's magically going to happen, and he would have totally made fun of me for it. Yeah. He was like, what are you doing? Like, the only way to get food is to run after and catch it. And I would have been the one that's like, no, like, look, I've understood it. I've seen that these seeds turn into plants, and we don't have to keep doing that. And that's how my brain works. I'm really good at planning in the future. Anyways, the reason I bring that up is part of that is the nomadic lifestyle is very much, you know, moving, constant change. And I do like some of that, but I need some stability in my life. I need to know this is where my gym is. This is what I do for fun on Monday nights. This is, you know, and what I'm trying to work on now is being flexible as well. So it's like, okay, like for instance, right now, like I had a plan, but I'm like, all right, Jordan said he's going to come over and we're going to do a podcast. And I'm like, all right, let go. Let's do that, you know? But anyways, that's my side tangent.
No, and we've talked about that over the, I don't know, maybe not the years, but at least we did a couple podcasts when I came back from Europe. And yeah, I think we've mentioned how you and I are on like the same path on opposite wavelengths.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get more routine oriented, and you're trying to get more like in the flow, you know. And you know who I'm traveling with now, he calls it the flowgram.
What does that mean?
Get in the flowgram, like be in the flow, but like make sure there's a program for it.
Yeah, and that's what I'm trying to figure out. And one of the ways, actually, this is kind of a cool thing. One of the ways that I've realized how to do that is I need pillars throughout my day. I need to know at 12 to 1 o'clock, I go to jiu-jitsu. And, you know, if something more important comes up, it's not the end of the world. It's not like football practice. You know, when we were used to do football practice, you miss football practice, it's like
you're punished.
Yeah, you're fucked. Like if I miss jiu-jitsu, it's like, all right, well, who cares?
Travis's dad was my football coach
for a little while. Yeah,
that's where I learned true punishment.
Yeah, exactly. So,
but
it's also like little things like that. Like I like knowing that I started taking a class at the community college, so I'm only going once a week. It's a Monday, Wednesday class, but I know Wednesday nights, that's when I go. And if I can't make it on a Wednesday for some reason, I go the next Monday. And I do like having those pillars. To me, having that set in stone, those little things, means that I can be more creative. Because when I have a full day of like, I can do anything I want, I kind of get stuck in my head. And I'm like, well, what's the most optimal use of my time? Maybe I should do this and maybe I should do that. But when I know, okay, I've got 3 hours before jiu-jitsu, what am I going to do? And it also makes me get up a little bit earlier because I'm like, all right, I want to be productive before jiu-jitsu, whatever. So
I've found lately, like, I mean, I'm coming from like full circle. When I was 18, 19, I needed everything structured. I'm a Virgo rising. I needed everything, like I need to know. I counted all my calories in an Excel file. I had my schedule, my routine, everything. Then I went and studied in France, started smoking weed, partying, hitchhiking, and realizing like, yo, it's all good, just chill. and I went the complete opposite direction, which was against who I was. Just like I needed to experience that. So now I'm kind of coming full circle. We're like, okay, how do I be chill, but also have my shit together and get stuff done? And what I'm learning over the last few years of traveling and filmmaking and starting this nonprofit corporation and all that stuff is as long as I have a time during the day where I can pull out my laptop and get shit done, like it may only be an hour, but like I have so much to do. All it takes is like one little accomplishment for me to feel like, okay, today is successful. Today is good. Like I don't need to be working all the time, and I want to be working a lot of the time. But there are some days where I'm just not meant to work, whether it's because I have friends in town, or I'm just not feeling like it. Or it's a full moon, like whatever it is. Some days it's not in the flow to really sit down and work for a solid like 4 or 5 hours, or even 1 hour. But for me, it's really tough to not work because I need to feel like I've accomplished something. So it only might take 30, 40 minutes on certain days, but it needs to happen.
I want to echo that too. That's something I've also struggled with a lot in the sense of, for instance, Monday, I didn't feel like working at all. And like I started the day and I'm like, I'm going to work, I'm going to push through it. And I'm just like, no, you know what? Oh shit, I'm supposed to be somewhere. I just realized. But anyways,
now?
I was in like 15 minutes, but I'll give him a call later. It's cool.
Case in point, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, well, it's not a big thing. I'm doing some neurofeedback from a guy that did a later episode. I'll talk about it.
Wait, neurofeedback?
Neurofeedback.
Like you're getting your brain hooked up?
Yeah, so they hook my brain up to something. I watch a screen, and I can kind of control what goes on the screen. If my brain is in a good state, let's call it. And this is all like science. This isn't like some pseudoscience thing. It measures like the different wavelengths and measures how much alpha.
I saw this on your Instagram.
Yeah, how much alpha, how much beta you're giving off, how much delta waves, whatever.
I want to do that. How can I do that?
It's expensive. Or
you have to pay for it.
Well, okay, so I got
a science project.
Yeah, so what I did is I had this guy on my podcast, and he's in Culver City, and so he's like, yeah, come on down. We'll scan your brain, see if there's any issues we can help with. And they found they say everybody's got brain trauma. It really scared me when they first said it, but I guess I have some cross-pattern brain trauma. I've got you can see my brain doesn't fire as well on my front right lobe and my rear left lobe. And they're like, well, that's consistent with
being a tailback in high school.
Yeah, that's consistent. And a linebacker, just hitting a lot. And the funny thing about it is I'd always hit with my right shoulder, which is like right, it's also the right side of the head. And I remember Shane, Shane Green?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember, I've had some big hits, but I remember 2 hits, me and him, and it's not like he ran me over.
You go to the same high school?
Yeah.
So that was like in a practice?
Yeah, me and Shane Green in practice. Well, because I was the linebacker and he was the tailback, and we're like, no, we don't want the other person to, get the better of us. So we crashed.
Male ego.
Yeah, no, we crashed hard, and we just fell to the side. It's not like he ran me over, which probably makes it worse. It probably would have been better if he ran me over, because then it's like the force is going that way.
God.
No, it was. I hit him, and it was like we hit a brick wall. Everything turned green for a second. There was a good 2 seconds, which doesn't sound like a long time. But when everything turns green, everything was a shade of green. And I was like, oh, fuck. Is this going to be forever? It was long enough for me to think, is this going to be forever? Which explains the brain trauma in the rear left hemisphere, occipital lobe back here. Anyways, I'm doing this neurofeedback, and I'm not going today. So.
Well, what about the front one?
The front one, interestingly enough, so he kind of says oh, well, there's some things that it's that front lobe does in the more colloquial terms or whatever. It's that part of your brain would be creativity. And he said that's not really as true as you might think. He said it might have something to do with general mood and happiness and well-being, which I could see. There's been times in my life where I'm generally a pretty happy person.
But this is considered trauma, something that is always there?
No, trauma in the sense of getting hit with a baseball bat is trauma.
And you'll never forget that hit with Shane Green.
I'll never forget that. That was intense.
I don't have any specific hits I remember, but dude, I never liked football. I never fucking liked playing it. I did it because my dad liked me doing it, and I thought as a guy I was supposed to do it. I don't know why the fuck I kept doing it because I didn't have the balls to say no, I guess.
Yeah.
But I never liked it. And I don't think I ever, maybe once, I don't think I ever really gave it my all and like a hit.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because like when I saw you like coming at me full speed, I don't want to hit that. I don't care how many pads I have. I don't care how strong I am.
Right.
I was pretty strong back then.
Yeah.
I didn't care to do that. I just feel like I'm too gentle. Like I don't want to do that. It's so weird that our culture puts us through that.
The year before high school, I was one of my dad's friends came, and he told me afterwards. He's like, "What did he say?" He's like, "Yeah, I was on the sidelines, and you hit this one kid, and you said sorry afterwards." I'm like, that sounds like something I would do. I had mixed feelings. There's other times where I did enjoy football. When I was doing good, when I blocked the punt against Hart High School, that ended up making us win the game and beating Hart High School for the first time, and my picture was in the LA Times. That's a good feeling. I'm not gonna lie. It's definitely an ego feeling.
Was that our junior year?
It was our junior year. Yeah.
And we played Hart first, and we should have won.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but
I didn't remember that.
Something happened with the defense. I don't remember, but like,
sure,
we were winning like most of the game, and then
we
fucked up at the end, and then you guys ended up winning. We could have beaten that streak.
Yeah. I mean, so. Anyways, moral of the story.
But real quick about the brain scanning.
Yeah.
So you can just pay to go in there or whatever. They scan you, but you said you can change the.
Yeah. So what it does is a good way of explaining it almost helps you get into a meditative state of mind, because when you're not in like a meditative state of mind, nothing happens on the screen. So like your brain naturally wants to get the little frog jump across, the screen, for instance. And so it's just feedback. So because for instance, I mean, maybe you're better at it than most people, but when I'm doing meditating, I'm like, all right, am I getting closer to what I should be doing or farther away?
So do you go in there and meditate and see what happens?
Not really. I will kind of, but I wish it was a little bit more like that.
I would love to try that.
Yeah. There's certain ones where you do meditate. This one it just rewards your brain. It's supposed to be a very passive thing. You're not supposed to do anything, but I find myself certain protocols, they can put the electrodes on different parts of your brain and reward different things. So certain things, I find myself, everything becomes clearer. It's like someone took a windshield wiper and just cleared my vision in just a beautiful way, where like I can notice details on things, and it's just a much calmer. Even the way I talk, I notice the way I talk, kind of like after doing meditation or yoga, the way I talk at the end of a session changes. I'm much more relaxed. So,
that's cool.
Yeah.
So do you have to call him? Do you want to take a pause because I have to go to the bathroom?
Sure.
Okay. I'll be right back. Oh, what is this? Okay. I'm gonna Instagram live it too.
Okay.
Never done that.